Are we going to get hyperinflation? That's not what you're saying, but you're saying preparing for that, you're going to buy Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin?
Well, because I call it people's money. Gold and silver are God's money.
Right.
Placed here by God.
Yeah.
But historically, you have to look at things from a historical point of view. Every currency has a life cycle. Okay, like we have human beings, we have life cycles.
Sure.
So a currency has a life cycle. So when the Confederate dollar ran its life cycle, it went out. When the, what do you call that, the Continental, which was the money for the Revolution, when it died, it went out. When the Weimar Republic, the Reichsmark died, it went out, and hyperinflation follows them. So I predict that the US dollar as a currency is at the end of its life cycle. It's a dying currency. So that's why BRICS and or Bitcoin and all that are coming up right now, because the US dollar is dying.
Today, we delve into the wisdom of financial expert Robert Kiyosaki, who is well known for his unusual yet frequently prophetic economic theories. Speaking openly in a recent interview, Kiyosaki expressed his worries about the U.S. economy's downward trajectory and the impending prospect of hyperinflation. By drawing comparisons to past devaluations of money, he presents a gloomy image of the difficulties confronting the baby boomer generation. Kiyosaki urges viewers to diversify their investments into physical assets such as precious metals and cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, and argues for a strategic shift in investing approach. This video breaks down Kiyosaki's argument for why Bitcoin is the greatest defense against hyperinflation and examines his logic for choosing cryptocurrencies over more conventional assets. But as the end draws near, keep an eye out for a startling admission from Kiyosaki himself about why, even if he supports Bitcoin, he still has doubts about Bitcoin ETFs. Furthermore, a little reminder before we get into Kiyosaki's observations. If you want to keep up with financial news, you might want to like and subscribe to the video. Now, let's hear from Robert Kiyosaki about why he thinks the US currency is nearing the end of its life cycle.
20-something years ago,
Yeah.
I said savers are losers. Why would you trust something our criminal governments will print? You know, I always talk about if you can print it, I don't want it.
Right.
So I don't have bonds.
Yeah.
I don't have cash. If you can print it, I don't want it. So I have investing in Wagyu cattle.
Okay.
Because you can't print a Wagyu cattle.
Yeah.
And I make my money, talk about cash flow. I buy the breeding bulls. Real estate's going to crash because the boomers are going to go down.
Right.
If you understand the boomers, anyway, they're about to go.
Yeah.
In 74, ERISA put them all into paper assets.
Right.
Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. You know, I won't even touch a silver or gold ETF. I don't buy Bitcoin ETF. I want the real thing. But that's me, you know, because I'm old enough to have seen the booms and busts. You know, I never lived in Zimbabwe, but I was in Zimbabwe for about two months, and it's horrifying. It's when your currency is worth nothing. So I'll say it again, the US dollar has a life cycle. It's a currency life cycle. So when you study macroeconomics, study the life cycle of a currency. Everybody's watching the BRICS. That's why 74 was also the petrodollar.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's all on resources. So the VRIC, the reason I'm here, this is resources. This is the Vancouver, British Columbia is Silicon Valley for resources. And resources, as you know, because you've been at it for most of your life, I'm sure, resources will always be here. But tech stock will not be. And the thing, the S&P 500 is hanging on the Magnificent Seven, you know, Google, Apple, and all that. And if I was a boomer right now, and I'm going to start to liquidate, and if the S&P collapses, because our bond markets are collapsing, if I was your age and have parents, your parents are going to move in with you. If they have a 401k, RRSP, IRA, and I wrote another book, Who Stole My Pension with Ted Siddell. Our pensions are empty. Wall Street and our governments have looted us. America is a criminal operation run by the head of a criminal organization called Biden. What these guys are doing is criminal. It's criminal. The first thing that Biden did when he came to office, he cut the Keystone XL pipeline. I sell oil. I have hard assets. You know, I'm an oil guy. I went to school for oil. And the moment Biden came to office, his first act was to cut that pipeline. Under Trump, I was selling oil at $30 a barrel. The day that Biden came to office and cut the pipeline, oil went from 30 to 130. Inflation went through the roof. And what that means is, mom and pop, Mrs. Soccer Mom standing at a pump, she can't afford to put gas in her SUV, and she's got 3 kids to feed, and prices at the supermarkets going up because oil affects everything. The civilization runs on energy.
Yes.
So that's why uranium's going up and all this stuff and oil. But the uneducated or unsophisticated public is in serious trouble right now. So I feel for the people who may lose their homes. The homeless among boomers is going to go up just because they have nothing. American boomers are the luckiest generation in world history. But they have nothing because our schools teach us nothing about money. Like our colleges, last year about this time, I did a talk at Arizona State University, which is the largest university in America.
Yeah.
39 professors shut me down. In 1965, David, I went to school from Hawaii, I went to school in New York. My economics teacher had our class read the first book was The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. I read the Communist Manifesto, I went, oh my God, my family, all educators, are Marxists. They don't know it, David, because they haven't read the Communist Manifesto. The number one thing for Marxism are taxes. Make sure everybody gets taxed.
Yeah.
So it's that progressive income tax is essential for the spread of communism. Labor unions. My father, poor dad, hated the labor unions. You see, what I'm saying is America is going Marxist. You can see it in our education.
2 decades ago, Robert Kiyosaki challenged conventional wisdom by declaring, "Savers are losers." He advocated against government-printed currencies like bonds and cash, preferring tangible assets. Kiyosaki predicted a crash in paper assets with the impending challenges faced by the baby boomer generation. He expressed doubts about conventional investments such as equities and exchange-traded funds, ETFs, and disclosed that real assets such as gold, silver, and Bitcoin were what he preferred to own. Kiyosaki highlighted the cyclical nature of currency life cycles and the significance of understanding macroeconomics, drawing on his experiences in Zimbabwe. Kiyosaki condemned the Biden administration's actions in a modern setting, calling them criminal, particularly the decision to halt the Keystone XL pipeline. He made a connection between it and his knowledge of the oil business, stressing the effect on oil prices and the ensuing inflation. He was worried about the ignorant people and anticipated difficulties, especially for American boomers who had not received any financial instruction. Kiyosaki brought up an instance at Arizona State University to criticize the educational system for lacking financial instruction. He cautioned against America's trend toward Marxism and urged people to be aware of how the economy is changing and to take preventative action. Yet that's not all. Listen to what he has to say after that.
Okay, so education is not the answer to building wealth. Why?
Well, because they actually teach you the wrong things. Number one thing I don't like about schools, they tell you don't make mistakes. Humans were designed to make mistakes. A baby doesn't take TikTok lessons. A baby has to stand, fall, stand, fall.
Yeah.
Next is bicycles. Fall.
Yeah.
Humans are designed to learn to make mistakes. But after they got through their bicycle, they go to a classroom, they're told not to make mistakes. The second thing is don't cooperate. Cooperation is called cheating. I was very cooperative in school. I was sat next to the smartest girl going. But that's how I get rich here. I did my talk yesterday at VRIC.
Right.
I said, what you're looking for is the right company, the right partners. You're looking for the people, the right teams.
Right.
So capitalists are teams. It's only the small entrepreneur who are, they pick stocks and all that.
Give yourself younger career advice. Let's say I want to be rich, right? You want to be rich. You're a 20-year-old kid, just graduated college or high school, whatever. What should you learn today?
That's a very good question because like having a rich dad or a poor dad.
Yeah.
I flew for the Marine Corps, that's my wings.
Of course, yes.
I love flying. Well, I didn't want to fly as a pilot. I hated it after a while. So I went to see my poor dad, and he says, get a job with United Airlines or American or Pan Am.
Yeah.
So Dad, I'm through flying. He said, well, go back to get your PhD. I said, and be like you. PhD stands for poor, helpless, desperate. Money. So I go to see my rich dad, and I said, what would you advise a 25-year-old kid? He says, number one, you have to be able to sell. If you can't sell, you can't be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Because all these guys are Christian.
Yeah.
And the second thing, you must learn to use debt. So I got a job with the Xerox Corporation to learn how to sell, really professional sales training. They fly you to Virginia to learn how to sell and all this. And the second thing was to learn real estate, to learn to use debt. So I have millions, so when somebody says, I can't afford it. Well, with real estate, all you got to do is put the debt into underlying the project. So I'm $1.5 billion in debt.
Right, yeah.
It drove people nuts. I said, yeah, but the US dollar became debt in 1971, if you know your history.
Right.
When Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So I use debt as money. Most of these guys do too. It's the poor people that are saving, the Canadian dollar. The dollar became debt.
Right.
So is the Canadian dollar's debt.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a rich person, man or woman, you must understand debt and how to use it. Most people use credit cards to get credit card debt, or they go shopping at all the shops up here.
Right.
Well, there's good debt and bad debt.
Well, explain the difference, good debt and bad debt.
Well, good debt is something the bank will lend you money on. So I go to my banker. Like, I'm putting a deal together right now.
Yeah.
I need $2 million. So I've got to go and package the deal so I can go raise the money to put it into the deal. Banks don't make money on your savings. Banks make money on debt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I go to marketing conferences. I'm always studying. But just as a plug, is I'm starting a network marketing company.
Okay.
For many reasons. One of them is to teach financial education using my board game.
Right.
So people get educated on money. But also, you have to learn how to sell to be in network marketing. So my friend Blair Singer is going to teach people how to sell. Because sales is the #1 asset of an entrepreneur. Sales equals income. When I find somebody who's broke, it's because they can't sell enough to cover their expenses. So sales equals income, and so that's why Rich Dad said two things. I must learn how to sell, and two, how to use debt. That's the key to entrepreneurship. That's why I was up here.
Robert Kiyosaki questions the conventional wisdom that says obtaining a formal education is the only way to get wealthy. He criticizes the traditional school system's approach, saying it discourages making mistakes, a viewpoint he believes to be ineffective. Kiyosaki draws comparisons between human nature's natural learning process, which includes standing, falling, and getting back up, and the idea that humans are innately able to learn from mistakes. Kiyosaki points out a basic fault in traditional schooling in his critique, which is the categorization of collaboration as cheating, which serves to discourage it. In contrast, he claims that cooperation and teamwork are essential life skills and especially important for success in entrepreneurship. Kiyosaki offers insights into the fundamental abilities needed for financial success by drawing on his own experiences as well as those learned from his rich dad. His rich dad advises him to focus on two essential abilities: the capacity for sales and the astute management of debt. In order to improve his selling abilities, Kiyosaki describes his personal experience seeking professional sales training at Xerox Corporation. In order to learn how to effectively leverage debt, he also studied the real estate market. Kiyosaki challenges the prevailing understanding about saving money by highlighting the idea that banks make their money from debt, not from saves. He presents the idea of good debt, which is debt for which banks are eager to extend credit, especially when it is used to invest or finance initiatives, and bad debt, which includes high-interest credit card debt. In closing, Kiyosaki emphasizes the need of comprehending and skillfully utilizing debt as a pillar of enterprise. He highlights that adopting these ideas can enable people to successfully negotiate the intricate world of economics and find success according to their own terms.